The holidays are finally here, and so I figured I would do a video called the 12 Days of Christmas, or the 12 Days of Fragrances, where I'm going to be going through and talking to you guys about some of the best, well, 12 of the best wintertime or Christmas holiday style fragrances that you should be aware of if you are not already. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, the 12 Days of Fragrances. So without further ado, let's get it. What's good, my great smelling dudes? Happy holidays. What's going on, all you guys? Hopefully you're doing well. We're doing the 12 days of fragrances, or 12 days of Christmas, where we're going to be talking about 12 fragrances that are great for the holidays. So those winterized fragrances, I know some of you guys live in the warmer territories. I did enter one or two fragrances in here that would be good for you guys as well. And if any of you guys want to be like, he's talking about the 12 days of Christmas, 12 days of fragrances down through the holidays, even after Christmas. These are some great holiday fragrances, even going into the new year. We're going to start out with this one. This one reminds me of Christmas, reminds me of the holidays because of the main note in it, and that is cranberry. This is discontinued, but you can still find it for under $100 on eBay. This is Polo Red Intense. If you know anything about the Polo Red line is based around cranberry and coffee, and a little bit of blood orange. Some of them amp up the coffee, some of them amp up the cranberry, some of them kind of amp them both down, and then some of them just love that blood orange. This one, it kind of takes that Polo Red DNA, modernizes it. It drops off a little bit of that blood orange. It still seems like it's still there. And then it amps the coffee to 1,000%, or the cranberry to 1,000%, and then amps up the coffee just a bit. Because it does seem like the coffees, it's almost like if you took Polo Red Extreme, dialed down the coffee a bit, and then amped up the cranberry to 1,000. That's what this smells like. It's warm, sensual, great for the holidays. It actually lasts about 6 to 7 hours. Very, very nice fragrance. I have the small one. I got this off Jeff from SoCal Scents. Thank you to him. It's one of my favorite fragrances in my collection. This and the Extreme are my favorite from the line. But Polo Red Intense, fantastic. Great for the holidays. It's fruity, warm, sweet, but at the same time has a little bit of a masculine touch to it. So if you like Polo Red line, just imagine that. Amp up a little bit of the coffee, amped up, and then also amp up that cranberry to 1,000. So if you like the smell of cranberry, you'll love this. That is Polo Red Intense. Going to the next one, this is going to go down more of the masculine route, and this brand has really been knocking everybody's socks off lately, and this is the fragrance that started it. This is Boss Bottled Elixir. Boss Bottled Elixir, it really did start the uprising of Boss Bottled, going and taking down the Capitol. But Boss Bottled Elixir, it is a patchouli heavy DNA now. They kind of got away from that warm apple pie smell and really made it their new DNA is centered around this warm, sweet patchouli that has a little bit of a green facet to it. Well, and then you take that and you mix it together with kind of like a 90s incense shop and a little bit of resins, and that is what this smells like. It is a smoked resinous it's a smoked resinous amber mixed together with that nice patchouli with a bit of sweetness, but it's masculine, it's mass appealing. It is one of the most unique designers to come out in the last decade. You can fight me on that, I don't give a shit. It also stemmed this, the Triumph Elixir, it stemmed the Boss Bottled Absolute, so I mean they're just riding the reins of it right now, but it's really, really nice, and it's definitely better in the cooler weather in my opinion. And speaking of Boss, you could go with this one, or you could go with another one. But for day 3 of 12 Days of Christmas, I'm doing back-to-back Bosses. Again, this one is probably better for the winter, but the other one might be better for the holidays. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is Boss the Scent Magnetic, or you could go with the Scent Elixir. I actually thought I grabbed the Elixir, but I grabbed Magnetic. But the Scent Magnetic is this brand Absolute. It smells like you're walking through a field of wheat. There's some sweetness, and then you have that fruity Maninka up top. has this nice, beautiful, warm vanilla bean-ish smell underneath it. It smells like Maninka mixed together with like a bowl of like, I don't know, Raisin Bran Crunch or something like that. It's just what it reminds me of. It's a very beautiful scent, a bit powdery but fruity, dark, warm, and then has a nice uniqueness to it as well. And then all you got to do with the scent Elixir is kind of mix this together with Spice Bomb Infrared. It's kind of what it smells like. It's like you got that sweet pink pepper, got that spices, and you mix that together with this, and you have the scent the scent Elixir, which is very beautiful and probably my favorite fragrance of 2024 as far as designer releases. With that said, 2024 wasn't really anything to write home about anyway. Anyway, going into number 4. This is if you're looking for, again, if you're in the warmer climates, where even during the winter it's warm, but you're probably in the mid-60s, this is a perfect fragrance. It is my favorite Iris fragrance. This is Prada LOM Intense. Prada LOM Intense is my favorite one to wear during the cooler weather, this or Dior Homme Intense, but this one really does have a little, it edges it out, because the Dior Homme Intense kind of amps up a little bit more of the iris and the powder and the sweetness, while this one amps up kind of like that masculine tone. And so you get the iris, you get the sweetness, but then it has a nice ambery backbone that provides that resinous sweetness, and then you have a bit of leather mixed into it to provide a little bit of this masculine tone. But it's very, 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 very beautiful. And then the way that it's all blended together kind of masks that powdery makeup-y iris to make it not feel as dense of an iris. And so that's why I really enjoy this. But that is Prada LOM Intense, one of the best fragrances I've ever purchased. And I got 2 of them for $46 each. Nordstrom Rack, like 3 years ago. It was one of the best purchases I ever made in my life. And then I also got Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Eau Fraiche Superman and Andre edition, both also $46 each. Anyway, going to the next one. This one is if you're looking for something warm, cozy, laying by the fire, sitting by the fire. I mean, when I think of Christmas, I think of a few things, presents, trees, but also cuddling up next to the fire. This is a fantastic one. This is Replica Coffee Break. Replica Coffee Break is literally if you want to just be with your significant other or a daughter or whoever it might be, because for me, it's my daughter, my wife, whatever it might be. It's a nice, intimate, kind of just connecting fragrance. It's one that you can be very close to other people, and it's not going to blind them, and they're going to think you smell good. It smells like you're walking into a Starbucks with that roasted coffee, but then it also has some sweetness underneath it to make it more like a roasted coffee cappuccino. And so very, very beautiful. It does have... like for me, one of the reasons that I really like this fragrance is it unlocks certain memories of just smells, and I can't really tie what it smells like, but it's like almost like when I was a child and I was walking into a 7-Eleven and going and getting one of those pumpkin spice lattes or something like that. It's just kind of what it reminds me of. But Replica Coffee Break, if you're looking for a nice, warm, cuddling fragrance that is full of coffee, then this is definitely it. Replica Coffee Break's one of the better coffee fragrances, great for the holidays. Another one for the people who live in the fresher climates. Actually, the next 2 are. This one can be for anybody in the fresher climates, warmer climates, cool or warm. This is great blue for the winter. This is Versace Dylan Blue. It's basically your typical blue fragrance, and then you add a bit of this spiced amber to really make it have a little bit more of a masculine tone, some uniqueness. If you don't know what Versace Dylan Blue is, you're doing yourself a disservice. But if you're looking for a blue to wear around the holidays, this is going to be the one, because you still get the spice, you get the warmth from the amber, but you also still do get that freshness and that blue, aromatic, fresh, spicy citrus quality that you get from all blue fragrances. It's just this one's a little bit deeper, a little bit warmer and spicier. That is Versace Dylan Bleu. So the next one on my list is one of my most worn fragrances. You guys know every time that it comes to winter or Christmas fragrances, I always mention this one. This is one of my daughter's favorite fragrances on me. This is Spice Bomb Infrared Eau de Parfum. You also could go with, or sorry, the Eau de Toilette. You also could go with the Eau de Parfum, which is just a little bit more drier, a little bit spicier. It almost has more of a masculine edge to it. With that said, this is my favorite Spice Bomb. It removes all the powder that you get from the other ones outside of Night Visions. I'm talking about the Extreme and the original. But anyway, Spice Bomb Infrared Eau de Parfum. It's a cinnamon and benzoin balm. So if you like cinnamon, if you like sweetness and a little bit more of like a resinous quality, you're going to get that from this. You also do get a little bit of red pepper and dried red fruits that mix together to create this really nice, it's again a semi-sweet but spicy ensemble. And I didn't spray anything on today, so I am going to wear this. 5 sprays should do it, maybe. Ooh. So Spice Bomb Infrared Eau de Toilette. It's one of my favorite fragrances. I would say, if I would actually be as bold to say it's in my top 5 fragrances. I mean, I wear it more than 99% of the fragrances in my collection. I know some people are really hit or miss with it, but literally as far as designer fragrances go, this might be like my number 1 or 2. But this line is very good at times. The original is very nice. A lot of people underrate that. Night Vision Eau de Toilette was nice. It's a lot of people hated on it. I mean, it's a nice fragrance. The Eau de Parfum of Night Vision is where it's at. That's a really good night out fragrance. It's almost like if you took Invictus and mixed it together with Wanted by Night. Then you have the Extreme. I just don't like powdery vanilla. So I know a lot of people like that. And then again, you have these two. They came out with dark leather. That one wasn't that good, but this one, if you want to get something that's Christmassy, again, spicy, cinnamon, but also has a little bit of sweetness, again, red fruits, red pepper, so you think of Christmas, it's red. So, Spice Bomb Infrared, Eau de Parfum, very, very nice. Or Eau de Toilette, I keep messing that up. Going into the next one, this one is for the people who want to, really the next 3 are for anybody who wants to make a statement. Look, I'm unique, you're not going to smell anybody like me. This is for those masculine, the ones that like to wear those hyper masculine fragrances. This is Stronger With You Tobacco. Out of all of the Stronger With Yous, this is by far the most, again, hyper masculine. Again, you had Stronger With You Oud, Stronger With You Leather, but they still had that kind of Stronger With You intensely, Stronger With You absolutely style DNA underneath them. And while this one does, it is like 80% dry pipe tobacco. And if you like dry pipe tobacco, then you're going to like this. So just basically think of the spices and the sweetness that you get from the line. Dial down the sweetness, keep the spices, and then add in a heavy, heavy wallop of dry pipe tobacco. And that is exactly what you get with Strong With You tobacco. The quality is there, the sweetness is there, the spice is there, but again, the sweetness is just dissipated. It's literally, if you don't like some of the other ones in the line for how sweet they are, a little bit cloying, especially with Intensely, then this is the one to go with. Strong With You tobacco is very unique. It's not a crowd pleaser, but for people who like those hyper-masculine tobacco fragrances, this is where it's at. And it lasts forever. Speaking of that, this is kind of on the masculine side of rose. If you really like rose, this is my favorite rose fragrance at this point in time. Surprisingly, because I usually don't like rose, my wife really doesn't like rose. And again, allergies and stuff like that. But with that said, we have Zaharoff Fetti Black Rose. I almost forgot the name. If you guys go back and watch my live stream from 2 weeks ago, this was on the top shelf of my collection and it came down and hit me in the head. And if you've ever held this bottle, it's like 4 or 5 pounds. So yeah. Anyway, so Fetti Black Rose. It's not something that I can wear every single day. Again, rose. It does have, it's almost like if you took a rose fragrance, which most of the time you would think rose feminine. Well, this one is unisex leaning masculine. It starts out with a beautiful bergamot, and you mix that together with the rose. But the rose is more subdued. And that's what I really enjoy about it, is that in the opening you get the freshness, you get the spice, you get a little bit of a resinous vibe underneath it. It's fresh, clean, slightly warm, and then you get the floral aspect underneath. But a lot of rose fragrances, the rose just takes full center force of the fragrance, and you can't notice anything else. You can't notice the woods, can't notice the citrus. In this one, there's all those different levels that really make that rose subdued. I mean, yes, the rose does come forward after about 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then you start to have more of a rose fragrance, which it's called Fetti Black Rose, so you're still going to get that. But if you ever seen like pictures of like the actual like the black roses that they use in a lot of like drama series and stuff like that, this fragrance literally reminds you of that. It's dark, it's a little bit unique, and at the same time it has all these different facets to it. And so it's a very, very beautiful fragrance. As you get to the dry down, you do get more of the rose again, you get some woods, you get some spice. But overall, if you like rose but you're not a huge fan of it, but you want a fragrance that has rose, just has multiple things going on to really subdue that rose and really add just depth to the fragrance, Fetti Black Rose is great. It's not necessarily a holiday fragrance, but it's just something to wear around the holidays because it does really work in cool weather. It is a nice night out warm weather fragrance as well. And then going to the third one, that's again not necessarily going to be for everybody. This whole line really isn't for everybody, especially the everyday average Joe. But this one is my second favorite from the line. My favorite is the Intense. This is LOM Idiol Extrem. This used to be my favorite, but and it's still very, very, very freaking good. But the Intense has really won me over. That freshness, that incense, it's very nice. But anyway, LOM Idiol Extrem. It really is the winterized version of this fragrance. It's plum tobacco, has that sweetness in it underneath it. It also does have that DNA with the tonka, the almond. You mix that all together, and then you add this nice warm fruity plum on top of it. You add in a little bit of the tobacco and some sweetness. It almost feels like there's a bit of honey. But overall, it's a classy, fruity almond fragrance, and that's what it smells like at its core. If you smell the LOM Idiol DNA, it's like take that, make it a little bit more fruity, slightly more dense, and then add in a bit of tobacco just underneath to add a little bit of a base layer to the fragrance. But it's still LOM Idiol. It still smells like, all of them smell like LOM Idiol with something. This one just smells like a fruity tobacco LOM Idiol, and it's very, very beautiful. You guys know I like plum, and they do a really, really good job with it. So with that said, you could also go with cherry with the eau de parfum, but I prefer the plum. So anyway, going into the last two, these ones are the ones that I feel, especially when you get real close to Christmas, these are the ones that you want to wear. I'm going to save the one that you wear on Christmas Day for last, but this one is the one that literally is, again, winter in a bottle. It is something that most people haven't heard of. And if you haven't heard of it and you like sandalwood or vanilla or amber, you should buy this fragrance immediately. I am just about out of the decant, so I'll be buying a bottle soon. This is Versace Atelier Santal Boise. It's just basically Versace's private blend line. And it's a really cool bottle. Obviously, I put it on the screen. But you can find it on Joma Shop, at least. That's what I've seen it around, like 140, 150. Basically, it's the highest quality, best sandalwood amber fragrance that I've ever smelled in my entire life. If you don't know what sandalwood smells like, I mean, it has a woody facet to it. It's a little bit more of a warmer, brighter woods, but it also has this almost creamy, woody facet to it. That is what sandalwood's really known for, is having that almost creamy, semi-sweet woodiness. And that's why sandalwood and amberwood are my two favorite woods. With that said, the sandalwood is always really good whenever you pair it together with either amber or vanilla or a mix of the two, and that is what this fragrance does. It mixes together a wallop of sandalwood with a nice bit of amber and a slight touch of vanilla to really just kick it into the dry down, and it's amazing. highest quality sandalwood I've ever smelled in my entire life. If you can't afford the 150 whatever purchase, there is a fragrance out there. It is Noble Wood by St. DuPont. And that one is kind of like a dumbed down version of this one. So if you just want to know, it's like $60 or something like that. But this one, I mean, if you can afford it, buy this. This is like the one blind buy fragrance I can tell you need to blind buy if you like sandalwood, amber, or vanilla. It's semi-sweet. Doesn't really have much of a powder. It's more of like a balsamic style vanilla amber. Underneath, again, this beautiful, just mind-boggling sandalwood. It's just so freaking good. I almost wish that I sprayed this on today and not the Spice Bomb. It's just so damn good. I remember the first time I smelled this, I was just like, wow, that's good. And the guy sent me 3 of these full of it. And so I'm just so happy it was last year. So happy. But that's Versace Atelier Santal Boise. A lot of words, but now we're going into the Christmas fragrance. 12 days of Christmas. We're on day 12. And this one has the ugliest bottle, literally. But it smells like a pine tree with amber and sweetness. Burberry London. I mean, look how stupid this bottle is. It just literally has like a Burberry piece of clothing wrapped around a black bottle that's not even stuck to it. Like, super dumb. It has a decently terrible atomizer, but it is one of the best. It smells like a Christmas tree if you mix it together with a little bit of spice and amber. Literally, if you took something like CK1 Shock and then just dialed that entire fragrance into the background and added a ton of pine on top, that is what this smells like. And anytime that I put this around anybody, they say, yep, that's Christmas in a bottle. Just wear that on Christmas. There's nothing else to it. If you want a fragrance and you want to know what the best fragrance to wear on Christmas is, there is no better fragrance to wear on Christmas than this because it smells like Christmas, unless for some reason you're allergic or don't like pine. But Burberry London, semi-sweet, semi-spicy, pine fragrance. It's what it is. It's literally, like I said, CK1 Shock down to the background with a bunch of pine on top. Smells great. It's really good. You can find it for like 20 or 30 bucks. I got this at Marshall's for like 15, so absolutely great. But that is 12 Days of Christmas. Let me know some of your favorites wearing around the holidays. But those are the ones that I've been wearing, especially around this time. My favorite 2 from that entire list are going to be probably the last 2, again, at least lately, for around Christmas. Obviously, Spice Bomb Infrared would be up there as well. But anyway, so thank you guys so much. Let me know some of your comments on these fragrances. And again, I will be back with another one. If I don't talk to you guys, happy holidays. Peace out.